Mr. Chair, and it's great to be at the Agriculture Committee. Certainly a bit of a change of scenery sitting at this end of the table, but it's great to be here and great to be an associate member of this committee. I've subbed in a few times, but I've not yet had the honor and privilege of sitting on this committee as a permanent member, despite coming from what I argue is the greatest agriculture riding in the country, with the most dairy farmers in the country, the most chicken farmers in the country, the most pork producers in the province, and in the top 3 or 4 for beef producers, and some of the most fertile farmland anywhere literally in the world. So it is an honor to be here. First of all, I want to thank my dear colleague, Senator Black, for first introducing this bill in the other place and for his initiative and his long-time advocacy for agriculture and the agri-food system. Of course, this bill didn't initiate really with either of us. We as the politicians who are pushing forward the legacy of someone else. And as the Senator mentioned in his statement, Food Day Canada is the legacy of the late Anita Stewart. So most of my words here today are not my words, but words from the Stewart family, from her 4 sons, Jeff, Brad, Mark, and Paul Stewart, who wrote to me and wanted me to express the words on their behalf about the importance of Food Day Canada. So these are their words. To us, Anita Stewart's 4 sons, growing up in a family surrounded by food and culture, we saw and learned many things about Canadian cuisine. We got to learn about how sharing food builds togetherness and connection. We got to see how food changes lives and creates community around a kitchen, around a table, or at a backyard barbecue. We met people who worked tirelessly to grow, harvest, and produce food, supporting their families and country. We got to see how food can brighten a day just by being delicious. Mum was a central figure of our family, but simultaneously also for our nation. It was Eve Johnson, a respected Canadian food journalist, who said, quote, "If there was a patron saint of Canadian cuisine, it is Anita Stewart." According to the National Post, quote, "Anita Stewart is the Wonder Woman of Canadian cuisine." It is our dream, Mum's dream, to have at least one day nationally when it is impossible to ignore the culinary, agriculture, and cultural food contributions that sustain and enrich our lives in our bountiful North. In Mum's own words, quote, "By being attentive to our food sources, not only do we keep the cash flowing for our producers, but we also enable them to maintain and nurture diversity, creating a fabulous edible shopping list for us now and, even more important, for future generations. It is about pride and tenacity, and it is about the pure sensual pleasure of tasting the richness of Canada on every level." And that is an excerpt from Anita Stewart's Canada, HarperCollins Publishers. Food Day Canada was created as an incredible tribute to Canadian ingredients and celebration of the good people feeding our nation. In the ensuing years, Food Day Canada has evolved into a unique, award-winning, proactive, positive event in Canadian food and farming that provides an opportunity to engage Canadians in a celebration of who we are as a nation. Since its humble start, Food Day Canada has grown exponentially and become a respected force for good in the food lives of Canada. We are innovators, educators, and trendsetters. Hundreds of chefs from across the nation are our advocates. We are restaurateurs who are on the vanguard of Canadian culinary excellence and respected by a group of active volunteers. As chefs, restaurants, academics, producers, events, farmers, organizations, media, and enthusiastic foodies from across Canada, we care deeply about Canadian regional cuisine. Canadian cuisine is a food of possibilities. It is regional and seasonal, with a dash of our multicultural histories thrown in for good measure to create a nation of food stories. Coast to coast to coast, we have so many unique, authentic culinary possibilities. The food life of a nation expresses its collective culture as much as any newspaper or television program or splashy new building. The privilege of being a citizen in this nation, producing and harvesting some of the finest ingredients on earth, goes hand in hand with the challenge and responsibility to build a dynamic, real food culture, then celebrating it. We believe in using Canadian ingredients while we celebrate and recognize those who feed and nourish our nation, support the research and education of Canada's food, agriculture, and culture, and believe in our diversity, reflecting traditions, history, and our evolving nature. Canada is a diverse and geographically disparate nation from all coasts. Although we are bound by geography and community ties, we are separated by distance. Food Day Canada, through its presences, both virtually and in person, brings people together to celebrate. We share messages about the importance of supporting Canadians while creating multiple local and regional celebrations. Food Day Canada's call to action is a pledge to shop, cook, and dine Canadian. Participants shop locally at restaurants, businesses, and farms, or cook at home, or cottage, or campsite to build community by sharing their table while sharing positive messages of delicious celebrations and gratitude. Our hope is having the day nationally established may help create widespread opportunities for Canadians to learn about the agriculture and agri-food system while we deepen our conversations about food and celebrate our northern bounty while remembering what is most important to all of us: family, friends, community, and food. And Jeff, Brad, Mark, and Paul concluded with the words of their mother. So join the party. Head to a market, buy local, go home and cook with the rhythms of the season. Be true to your own culinary story. It's really that simple. Anita Stewart. So I thank Jeff, Brad, Mark, and Paul Stewart for allowing me to share their words in the promotion of the legacy of their late mother and in the establishment of Food Day Canada. Colleagues, I thank you for your time this morning and hope we can find support to move Bill S-227 forward.